Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thanks for tuning in. We have another busy docket today, so let's get right to it. First, Friday night, we brought you the affidavit of Chad Daybell regarding his arrest. Had a little time for it to sink in. Let's follow up on that. Second, Justin Bieber is accused of assault in 2014 in Austin. Well, he is fighting back and has documents to say he's not guilty. Third, why it's important to know who you're dealing with because you could wind up naked and tied to a tree. Fourth, just because Letecia Stauch is under evaluation for competency doesn't mean the attorneys and court are not working on her case. We have some orders. Fifth on the docket, Jussie Smollett's attackers want their property back. And finally, our dumb criminal contestant of the day and our winner for last week. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch from Crime Talk, and thanks for watching. As always, I'm going to ask if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. And as always, leave us a comment in the section below regarding what we've talked about here today. First on the docket, the affidavit related to the arrest of Chad Daybell was released Friday evening. We went live for a little over an hour and a half, going through it in great detail. If you want to watch that video, you can hit the link below. But a quick recap of it is quite simple. The Rexburg Police Department is working with the FBI, and basically through cell phone data analysis, they were literally able to determine Alex Cox's cell phone location within basically 6 meters of where the phone actually was. For those who aren't familiar with that, Alex Cox was the brother of Lori Vallow, who it would probably be fair to say, based upon the affidavit of arrest warrant, was heavily involved in the disappearance of JJ and Ty Lee. It also appears that Chad Daybell was involved in some nefarious conduct as well. And like I said, the previous video from Friday night, we go in great detail about that affidavit. So we're not going to go through everything again. But a couple of things that I would love to just get your thoughts about. And the more I thought about it over the weekend, the affidavit states that when the agents and police officers began digging up ground on his property where JJ and Tylee were ultimately found, the police note in the affidavit that he kept watching the police and ultimately drove away. Once they found remains, they went and pulled him over and ultimately arrested him. And I just have to wonder what was going through his head other than, holy crap, they're going to find those bodies. And he was trying to get away. The question is, where do you think he was probably going to go? Now, you may recall last week as well, the attorney for Lori Vallow followed a motion for the request to have a copy of the affidavit in the Chad Daybell matter. So clearly he didn't know. And so obviously the whole world has it. So Mr. Means, Lori Vallow's attorney, must have that now. Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall when Mr. Means goes through that affidavit with Lori Vallow? I would love to be there and just see the look on her face when all that information is being read to her, or she is reading it herself. She has got to think, oh, the gig is up. Now, as we do here on Crime Talk, we give you the facts. And we're going to give you the analysis as it relates to what the defense would be in this particular case. Now, based upon what I know, and we don't know what evidence is forthcoming as it relates to various cell phone analysis of Chad Daybell's phone and his records, or that of Lori Vallow. So that will certainly be interesting to see how that works out as well, if there's other text messages that may have been located, as well as just the data showing text messaging back and forth or calls as well. But clearly from the affidavit, the defense is really going to have to show that there was no conspiracy. Obviously, Alex Cox must have somehow taken this whole zombie stuff to the extreme. And he is the one that obviously harmed JJ and Lori Vallow. And for whatever reason, they didn't come forward. Maybe it was because they were scared, or maybe they were even afraid of someone associated with Alex Cox after his untimely demise. We're simply going to have to see how this case develops. Obviously, the preliminary hearing for Chad Daybell is not going to go on July 1st and 2nd as planned. Now it's set into August. So we'll see what moves are made and whether anyone is going to start rolling on anyone to start saving themselves. Never a dull moment with this particular case. Next on the docket, Justin Bieber was accused of assault basically over Twitter this past weekend. And boy, is this going to be interesting as well. I'm not sure what this woman's plan was or what she thought she was going to get out of this, but I don't think it quite went as planned. So on Sunday, a woman by the name of Danielle stated that she was assaulted sexually on March 9th of 2014 by Justin Bieber. Now, normally anyone is going to simply say, keep your mouth shut, these are allegations, maybe go sue civilly, contact the police, see what's going on, etc., see if she's made an allegation. It's unclear if this woman by the name of Danielle has in fact done that. Why? Well, no more further posts because her account and tweets have all been removed. But in a somewhat unusual move, Justin Bieber took to Twitter stating that, hey, he takes these allegations very seriously, and in fact, he is not going to basically lie around and let this story run amok. So he jumped all over it rather quickly and started posting and saying, yes, I was in Austin for South by Southwest on March 9th. In fact, was there for a concert. However, I was there with my girlfriend, is what Justin Bieber was saying at the time, Selena Gomez. And additionally, he's saying that he was with her during that time period, and that there's absolutely no truth to this Danielle's claim. In fact, he went on to post emails regarding his travel itinerary, regarding the housing situation that he was in, an Airbnb, and that he never stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel, where in fact this young lady, purported to be someone by the name of Danielle, said that something took place. And the surprising claim by Mr. Bieber is that obviously these allegations by Danielle are factually impossible based upon his travel arrangements, as well as proof of his travel arrangements, and basically someone to state that she was with him the majority of the time and nothing could have happened. He says that he plans to take legal action, and he will be working with both Twitter and the authorities to do so. At first blush, this may appear to be a shakedown of some type. We'll have to wait and see if there's actually been a police report made by this Danielle with the Austin Police Department, or if it was simply a way to make some money. So you just never know on these things whether they're truthful or not, but it clearly seems to indicate that Mr. Bieber was in the city at the time, but not possibly with her. Now, what's the significance of this? And this is why oftentimes you never talk to the police. If somebody makes an allegation against you of any type and you go in and basically corroborate, witness says, hey, you were at this location on these dates, and then something bad happened. And you go in and you talk and say, well, I was on this location on these dates, but I never did anything wrong. Oftentimes the police just look at you and say, you know what, you just corroborated half or 3/4 of the story. And of course you're going to deny that you did anything wrong. So we're going to arrest you and charge you anyway. So Perhaps Mr. Bieber may want to have consulted an attorney before he went out there posting these items, but we'll wait and see. He clearly seems to be rather confident that he's done nothing inappropriate. In fact, never met this woman at all. So we'll see how it shakes out. Next on the docket, why is it important to know who your friends are? Well, if you don't, they could possibly come to your house, rob you, tie you to a tree naked, and basically leave you out there. That's what has allegedly happened to a New Hampshire man, and police are in fact looking for two people, Ronald Betances and Ariel Dupas, because they allegedly forced this unidentified man from his home and into his car at knife point. After taking his wallet and his cell phone, they drove him to several places before ending up in Derry, New Hampshire, about 13 miles southwest of Manchester, apparently. This unidentified man was ultimately able to free himself and contacted police. But that was not before, as I stated, they tied him up naked to a tree. With friends like that, who needs enemies? If that last story is not a good enough reason why everybody needs a background check subscription, I'm not really sure what is. That's right. If you go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background search description, you can do unlimited background searches on everyone here in the United States. You simply type in the name, and within minutes, you have a report that has searched literally billions of records around the country. That report will include criminal records, bankruptcy, court records, property records. That's how simple it is. You can use it as many times as you want under your subscription, and you have that report. So if you are meeting new friends, if you are meeting someone online, maybe getting to know them, it doesn't hurt. It is a small price to pay for the peace of mind that you are in fact dealing with whom you think you are dealing with. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for that subscription now. You will be satisfied. Next on the docket, a Letecia Stauch update. For those of you who do not recall, Letecia Stauch was the stepmother of Gannon Stauch here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and she is accused of his murder. When young Gannon disappeared, Letecia Stauch made many statements regarding his whereabouts. Ultimately, they all turned out to be not truthful, at least as far as we know right now. And we will give her the presumption of innocence. And then ultimately, Gannon Stauch's young remains were found in Florida, basically on the side of a road where a bridge or construction crew spotted his remains. Now, Letecia Stauch has also been charged while in custody for basically solicitation for an escape, asking people to help her escape from custody. Additionally, she hasn't been charged for the attempted escape when she was being extradited back to the state of Colorado from South Carolina, where she tried to escape in Kansas. Right before the most recent charges were in fact filed for the attempted escape, or the solicitation for the escape to be more accurate, Letecia Stauch's counsel raised competency. Now, competency is the mere fact that we want people who are in the court system to understand what is taking place. We also want to make sure that they understand and appreciate what's going on. Now, normally competency, depending on the evaluation you get, if you can say the roles of the defense attorney, the prosecutor, the judge, the jury, and you can fog a mirror, generally you are found to be competent. But sometimes you have to dig a lot deeper in this particular situation to see if someone maybe is delusional or something along those lines. Anyway, once the motion for competency has been raised, the judge, if believes that there's good faith basis for it, has to stop the proceedings, and the defendant, and in this particular case, Letecia Stauch, will be evaluated by professionals to see if she is in fact competent. Competency can be raised at any time. Additionally, it can be raised numerous times as people come in and out of competency. I've had that happen over the years where people are not receiving their medications, not competent. They get their medications, competent, stop taking their medications, not competent, all within those particular proceedings. So although the case is stayed in the sense that nothing's going to happen as it relates to the case moving forward for preliminary hearing, arraignment, trial date, it doesn't mean that the parties are not working. And in this particular case, Ms. Letecia Stauch's attorneys, the Office of the Colorado State Public Defender, had filed a couple of motions. One in particular was that they wanted a copy of the CBI packet as it relates to DNA. It basically knows all their bench notes and things like that. Everything that you can collect and write down, all the data as it relates to the DNA, the defense wants it so that they can have their experts review it to see if there's any flaws or errors in not only the way the tests were conducted, but how was the evidence collected, how were the calculations done once they figured out it was in fact, or they believe it to be, that of Gannon Stauch. That's what experts do for the defense. Oftentimes they'll never testify, but they will in fact tell you, ooh, I can't help you on this one. They did everything right, or they will point out errors along the way. Now, additionally, the court has ordered that some 5 pages of documents be turned over that were in the possession of the Department of Human Services. Well, you would think, what's the problem with that? Well, there's privacy issues per statute here in the state of Colorado. So there may, in fact, be records that are pertinent to the child to be, or to the case as it relates to Gannon Stauch. There are records that, in fact, can be relevant to the investigation done by Department of Human Services as it relates to the death of Gannon Stauch. Both sides can subpoena those records, but ultimately then it's up to the court to conduct what they call an in-camera review. Basically, the court will take the records, will review those documents in his chambers, look at the legal standard of what items can and cannot be turned over, and then produce those limited documents. Sometimes it's the entire file. Sometimes it's just a few pages. Now here we know that the bait stamp numbers are 49-30 and then 49-34 through 37 and then 49-40. That's their bait stamp numbers. Clearly, there's only 5 pages of the 40 that we know about, assuming they only go as high as 40. My guess is they probably go higher than that. But it has to be relevant to the case and usually some sort of exculpatory information for that to be turned over. So just because competency stays the proceeding as Letecia Stauch, her attorneys are still working on this case. The prosecutor is still working on the case. And frankly, both sides are probably rather appreciative that they get a little bit of a breather given the amount of evidence seized in this case, the number of jurisdictions that are involved in this case as well. Once again, we'll continue to follow the Letecia Stauch case. Next on the docket, the Jussie Smollett case. A quick recap for those that don't recall, Jussie Smollett was an actor. He lives in Chicago. He was on the show Empire. I believe it's since been canceled. And Jussie Smollett has the ups and downs as it relates to some legal issues relating this alleged incident. It is alleged that he, Jussie Smollett, hired 2 brothers to basically create an attack on him and say that it was in fact racially motivated. The 2 attacking brothers were ultimately cooperative with the police, not charged. Jussie Smollett was charged. Jussie Smollett got a sweet deal, case dismissed. Then a special prosecutor is appointed because it appears as though the district attorney in this particular case didn't really recuse herself and just had her deputy handle the case to make it all go away. Jussie Smollett is then recharged relating to multiple counts of false information to a police officer. The matter is pending. It's going back and forth. Well, now one of the brothers that was involved in the alleged attack wants his property back. The brother, Abel Osundario, would like his black ski mask and a red hat returned. Additionally, he would like to have a couple of iPhones returned, a couple of firearms, and 5 bottles of bleach. Now, these items were all relevant to the attack. that was allegedly staged for Mr. Smollett. Now, the big issue here is, why do they want it back? You mean to tell me that these items are so important that now they want them back? Well, according to Abel's attorney, she says that he has been patient and deprived of his personal property. Well, that's in fact the case. However, the court is not granting the request automatically. The special prosecutor in this case has been given time to respond, and my guess is he is going to object to the release of the property. Before the property could in fact normally be released, the defense would have an opportunity to inspect it and review it. No indication that has in fact taken place. Additionally, these are items of evidentiary value in a criminal prosecution. That prosecutor is going to want to be able to present the evidence that they have in evidence to corroborate what they see on videotape, as well as to be able to corroborate what the two brothers would testify to, assuming they testify against Mr. Smollett. So, appreciate the victim wanting their property back, but these are items that are of evidentiary value, and I would be very surprised if it is released to them at these stages of proceedings. Normally, once a trial is done, and then maybe after an appeal, particularly on a high-stakes case. I can't say for sure, but I just find it a little odd that all of a sudden Abel Osundario wants his property back now. Let it go. It could also be seen as perhaps playing games, Mr. Osundario, something you may not want to do, because you could, in fact, still be charged with a crime if you do not violate your agreement with the prosecutor to cooperate. One could perceive this as being uncooperative. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. But before we do that, let's give you the winner of the dumb criminal contestant of the week. Yep, that's right. The big winner in the poll was the Nebraska man who threw the White Claw at police. That's right, the White Claw drink at police. Probably something you shouldn't do when you're intoxicated. Congratulations. If our White Claw thrower would like to claim their prize, simply have to email me at scott@scottreisch.com, and we will mail to him a mug at no expense to him. And if you would like a mug without having to be a dumb criminal contestant of the week, hit the link below. Takes you straight to Teespring. You can design your mug, and they'll ship it out to you rather quickly. You should be happy with the mug, and we'll probably be coming out with some new designs as well. Now, our dumb criminal contestant of the day is an individual by the name of James Ramson. Now, it is alleged that Mr. Ransom was walking down the street with open containers of Natural Light beer and Captain Morgan rum. And apparently, allegedly, he caused a disturbance on the boardwalk in St. Petersburg. Mr. Ransom apparently exacerbated the situation by yelling loudly at the police officers as well as passerbys. Once Mr. Ransom was arrested, he repeatedly told the officers that his name was Michael Corleone. And for those of you who do not know, Michael Corleone was the figure in The Godfather, played by Al Pacino. Needless to say, when the police ran the name of Michael Corleone, nothing came up, and ultimately Mr. Ransom was charged with additional charges of giving false information to a police officer. Mr. Ransom got to spend the weekend in jail and ultimately pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors and was given 2 days in custody. Mr. Ransom appears to be a transient with a lengthy criminal record. But as we try to do in every situation that relates to our dumb criminal contestant of the week, we try to think of this as a teachable moment. This teachable moment would be, don't lie to the police, okay? You have a couple of options when you talk to the police, and that's either keep your mouth shut or be absolutely truthful. Because why? You could be charged with felonies, giving false information to agents, attempting to influence a public official, or in this particular case, you could receive a misdemeanor charge of false information. needless to say, it's a crime of moral turpitude that can always be brought up to be used against you if your credibility was ever at issue. So remember, don't do like Mr. Ransom, who is our dumb criminal contestant of the week. Don't give the name of Michael Corleone, the figure in the Godfather movie, particularly if you don't look a thing like him. That's all we have today. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you taking the time to watch us on Crime Talk. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.